What is going on, people? It's Matt from Liquid Loans. In this video, I'm joined by a guest who I'm excited to bring on. I've seen him out in the community, doing the work, asking questions, learning more about PulseChain, Liquid Loans, the whole ecosystem in general. He's also jacked, and it would be a shame to have a flex off next to this guy. Anyway, hopefully he can show us how to, excuse me, show us how to get in shape, stay in shape, and also talk about some wealth. Sorry about this. Let me bring up Sam. How's it going, man? Good to see you.
Hey, what's up, man? It's good to chat with you. I've seen your videos on TikTok a bunch of times.
Thanks, dude. Thanks. Yeah, with us, one of our other team members, he's been cutting up some of the content we make here on YouTube and putting it on TikTok. So thanks a lot for coming on, man. I appreciate your time. And yeah, I've seen you on a stream before with quite a few people. One of them was my colleague, Jesse. And that was a good stream, you guys talking and you asking a lot of questions. So it's good to see people out there who, want to learn more and are hungry to expand their knowledge on crypto. But for everyone who's watching who doesn't know you, maybe we could get a quick intro and a bio and background about yourself.
So I was homeschooled my whole life. And I think that gives a big perspective in terms of the framework that I go into crypto. Because Jesse came onto my channel and then he came onto a stream. And I asked a lot of questions because I'm curious. And being homeschooled, you see friends that are like in the neighborhood, right? Or you're in homeschool groups, and they're talking about things that they learn in school that I have no idea what you're talking about stuff, and I have no idea what it is. So at a very young age, I felt like I was outside of the system, so to speak, because I was homeschooled. I'm around my family every single day, all day, like 365. And I thought I was at a disadvantage to the people who were in school. Like I'd see like the neighbors, they'd be in school. And so that gave me like a deep-seated root to just constantly be learning. And that's just always stuck with me. Fitness has been something that's always been interesting to me. So I'm big into the fitness community. I first learned about like the crypto world back in 2013 when a client actually paid me a Bitcoin to help him out with some stuff, and then I lost it. Well, the exchange like stole it basically back in 2013. But it was always on the peripheral, and I run my own business. There's many different facets of my life and what I'm doing right now, and it's a ton of fun. I feel like I'm retired at this point.
Man, that's fascinating. Just to go back, why were you homeschooled? Your parents were alternative thinkers. They didn't want you caught up in the system. Like, what was that about?
It's pretty crazy now to look back on it, because we probably agree that the system for schools is like freaking broken, like 100%. Doesn't, if you think of like what the school system's supposed to do, it's supposed to like prepare these people that are very malleable to a state where they can be self-sufficient and take on the world. And if that is the common goal of school, it's broken. And my mom was kind of like the big advocate to keep us all home. There were 7 kids in my family. Wow. Massive. And we would do school all year round, but we would do it like, say 7 or 8 a.m. until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we'd be done before everybody else, but we'd do it just perpetually throughout the year. I used to think of it as a negative thing, but now that I look back on it, I realized that she was ahead of what was happening, because there's no way I would want my kid to be in school today. I would much rather have a tutor, or literally even just having them next to me every day. They're going to learn more about how the real world actually works than doing that through, I'm not sure how far down that rabbit hole you go, but like how much like the propaganda school is. It's not preparing kids for like life or whatever.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, when you look at what school should teach you, right, and what it does teach you, it teaches you to be a lot of the time just another clone of the guy next to you, where it sounds from a young age you had, obviously you were kept homeschooled by your parents. They wanted you to be an independent thinker, and then that extrapolated on through your life, right? I guess to find what was real.
What's it like over there in the across the pond where you're at? Like, is it kind of just the same? But a lot of the people I talk over here are very not negative, but there's not. They realize the system is broken for school, and they realize it's not pointing in the right direction. of like helping society, and it's a drain on society, not like adding to society. Is it kind of like the same way over there?
I think it's a lot of the same, you know, in the Western world, to be honest. Of course, there's some cultural differences, but in the English speaking Western world, you know, most people are in the group think, right? You know what I mean? They just do what they're told, right? And it's like, okay, you need to go to school, get good grades, go to college. We call it university over here. You know, get a degree, get the girl, get the job, get the marriage, get the kids, you know, live 70, 80 years, get the disease and get the hell out, right? And that's, you know, I think that's pretty much the same, because I've spent quite a lot of time in the States and I've traveled, I've lived around the world. And to be honest, I think it's the same thing. You know, it's quite rare to come across independent thinkers that question things. And especially these days, right? Because if you question something, you're apparently the complete opposite. You're a, you know, you're a Nazi or you're against it. So I think it's pretty much the same everywhere, man. You know, most people don't really want to be an independent thinker because it takes effort, right? And it's much easier to listen to your parents, to the teachers, to the guy on the news, tell you exactly what's going on. And then you just go, oh, great. Okay. I'll just carry on doing my 9 to 5 that I probably hate as well. So yeah, I think it's pretty much the same. Of course, everywhere in the world, you're going to find people who are looking for more and reading and researching and stuff. But I think it's, on the whole, the majority of the Western world, or maybe the whole world, pretty much, they follow the group think culture. And obviously you're in that subsect where they were like, no, we want you to think independently and come up with your own thoughts. And obviously that served you well, because you asked questions.
Yeah. How did, so there was like, there was the stories I would tell myself when I was younger was that like I was a disadvantage, like the stories that I was stupid or that I couldn't, like I had a huge problem with reading. Like I could barely read when I was a kid. I just disliked, like I didn't understand how to read. Like math was like super easy, but I didn't understand how to read. And then I like see my brothers or sisters, and it's relatively simple or easy for them to read. And then I see kids at school, like the neighbors, or like if you're in like a sports homeschool league, and those people, they're talking about shit you have no idea about. And so the story that I told myself when I was younger, because life is literally just stories that we tell ourselves, that I was stupid at the time, right? And I didn't know what I was doing. And that was like, fuck, sorry, I don't know if to swear, but I need to put myself, like I need to catch up to these other people because everybody else is at such an advantage to me. And I think a lot of people have probably gone through that, where maybe their story is definitely different than mine, but there's some instance where they butt heads with somebody that they respected or cared about, and that parent or relative or brother or sister or kid in school like made them feel stupid, and then they decided to hold on to that for whatever reason, or it was in the back of their mind, and then when somebody else something, it clings onto there, and it's like carrying around these rocks with us. So they're just these stories and this extra baggage, right? And so I was like so hungry to learn my whole life. Like I was like, okay, I'm really bad at reading. I need to read every single day. Like, because it would take me to read like a page in a book. It would take me like 45 minutes. Like I couldn't understand how to get through this book. And this is like, you know, when I'm a child, but it's just, I didn't understand how to do that. And I'm sure everybody's got something in their own life where they've gone through that struggle. So for me, it was like, damn, I need to work harder than Matt does just to get to the same level where Matt is. Because of that disadvantage. Go ahead.
No, sorry. Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, I think what you've done is obviously we've all got beliefs, right? And telling ourselves stories, but you use that as like that fear of obviously being left behind to empower you as energy to read more, grow more, where a lot of people don't, right? Maybe a teacher or a parent or a stupid uncle says something that's not true, like, oh, you're stupid, or you're not good at math, or you're not good at reading, and that kid just takes it on. And you know, I think it's inspirational to hear that, because when I figured out that life was all in my head, everything, right? It's all perception. For example, someone else could be dumped by their girlfriend and they want to kill themselves. Another guy could be like, hey, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me, right? It's the same thing that's happened on the outside, but it's the way we're perceiving life on the inside. And I've always thought I'd love to do, I mean, you can never do this, right? But the experiment would be you'd clone a kid, right? Or whatever, a small human being, And you just be able, it's like a scientific experiment. One kid would get like positive affirmations. You can do this. There's no limits. And the same kid or the clone would get, negative. And you'd literally just watch this, this parallel universes grow up together and just see what happens to the kid. And I think we know what would happen by now.
So you, because I agree 100%, it's 100% here. So maybe you've thought about this or maybe you haven't. How can we, right? Like, how can we go through and impact more people? Because I think for myself, as I've been on my journey and I've gotten to the state where you realize it is all here. Once you realize it's here, well, then it's not in Matt's hands if I'm successful. It's not in my girlfriend's hands if I'm successful. It's not in anybody's hands if I'm happy or fulfilled or achieve anything in life. And how do we get more people like Matt, like Sam? Like, how do we as individuals get more people to realize that? Because so many people choose to go through suffering of like carrying around the stories that don't serve them and the belief systems that don't serve them, instead of like changing those. And like, it's something that I've journaled about or like thought about several times to try to figure out how I can get more people to, you know what I mean? Because there's so many people that are hurting, like, and it's self-inflicted hurt from the stories and beliefs they have. But like, how do we get those people to wake the fuck up? Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Like, have you thought about that?
Yeah, a lot, man. A lot. Like you, I like to read. I like self-development. Here's the thing. Yeah, going back quickly to the beliefs, we've all got these beliefs, right? And some guys or girls are telling themselves like, I couldn't earn 100K, or she's out my league, or I couldn't live in that neighborhood. And again, that's not true, because we can look back through history and see that people who came from worse backgrounds than you, and anyone watching the stream have done amazing things. So you're right. It is all beliefs. It is all stories. How do we change that? From my own experience, people only change when they're in enough pain. And if someone it has to come from within, right? When you try and tell someone, hey, you've got to read this book, or you've got to do this workout, or try this meal or whatever, and it doesn't come from within, it's just like, yeah, whatever. But I found when people are in pain, and that could be with anything, they're overweight, they're broke, they can't get a date, then they go out there and they seek, right? Like he who seeks finds, right? And it's true. If you go looking for something, knowledge, or even if it's the wrong direction, yeah, exactly, the solution to a problem, you will find something, and it might be the wrong way, but that's fantastic because you've already found a way that doesn't work. You can move on to something else. But going back to your original question, like you, I want to help people. I want to tell the truth. I want to get as close to objective reality as possible in this lifetime. Unfortunately, just by telling people this, a lot of the time they don't listen. They have to be in a place of pain, I've found, to really, really want change in life. And if they're not, then you can give them all the self-help and all the books and all the motivation in the world. But if they're not in enough pain and they don't want to change themselves, they have to take responsibility for their own life and they have to change. But what about you? Have you got any ideas on how you can help people en masse?
Like, I know that I've been like, the pain is definitely self-inflicted. So then I'm like, what can I do, right? Because it's only about what Matt can impact and what I can impact, right? And we can impact more, like, by being maybe part of a team and a bigger purpose and that kind of thing, whatever that might be. But the thing that always comes back to me, and this is something that probably came from those younger years, is that, like, this conversation is having if somebody tries to talk to me on a I'm going to call it a surface level, and I'm not saying to judge the other person. It's just I like having meaningful, deep conversations, and I like diving deep into topics or whatever it is to learn. Because when there was that Keith Ferrari or something who wrote a book like Never Eat Alone or something, or just like how do you win friends or influence people, or how to like impact somebody else, is you really have to, in order for me to impact Matt, I need to understand how Matt talks here. What stories is Matt telling himself about his perception of reality, which doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just I can't connect with Matt until I understand what stories he's using and using the words in Matt's mind, because and that's what draws me to like having those like I'll be like I don't really go to parties or something, but if I get invited to something or go to something like that, I'll be the person who's having like, you know, a 45-minute conversation and everybody else is just like doing their thing, and it's just like I'm locked in because I really want to impact that person's life in a way that's like maybe something is able to stick, or maybe they just want to like a tiny grasp of something to like be like, oh, that's cool. Let me think about that. Let me move forward. And in order to do that, I have to see the world through their eyes, at least how I see that or whatever. When like we're in the crypto area because it's fun, it's interesting. Like I'm more on the lighter side of crypto. So how did you get into this crypto space? I'm curious to learn.
Just through, again, trying to better myself, right? So I've always been interested in money. I've always been, for a long time, doing some type of investing. So first it was like blue chip stocks, then it was precious metals, and then ETF, exchange traded funds. And I'd heard about Bitcoin, like you back in actually you had a Bitcoin back in 2013. I heard about Bitcoin in 2000.
But I didn't know anything about Bitcoin at the time. Go ahead.
So yeah, no, I was the same as you. I heard it, and then again, going back to how do we better ourselves? Obviously, I was a different person back then to who I was now, 2012, 2013, and back then I was doing precious metals or whatever, and I heard about Bitcoin, and I was like, and then I heard scam with it as well, right? And I was like, good, scam. Don't want to learn about it anyway, because learning's hard, right? You got to open up your mind. You got to be like, maybe I was wrong, and obviously over the years I've learned to crowbar my mind open and be like, always question everything, because there's always stuff to learn. But back then I kind of like just pushed it out of my mind, and then heard about people getting rich over the years and becoming millionaires, and like, this is annoying because I heard about this a long time ago and I rejected it, and finally got a Coinbase account in 2017. Nearly brought the top of Bitcoin, and I didn't, and it crashed, and I didn't buy anything. I think early 2018, and then pretty much stayed out of it until the last bull run. So yeah, not long, man. Like a year and a bit, year or two, in crypto.
Oh, really? So like you kind of like really have only been into crypto for a year or two?
Couple of years, yeah. Nothing, since the last bull market. When was that? Like 2020 it started. So yeah.
Okay, so I had a question for you. So because I view investing as kind of just buying and holding kind of thing, and you had mentioned blue chip and ETFs and metals, etc. Right? And you said investing. Were you like holding? Were you just acquiring those, or were you like flipping them?
So when I first started investing in stocks, I had no idea what I was doing. I just set up a trading account with my bank and just bought blue chip stocks and held them, and then didn't really do anything with them. Pretty much sold them for the same price, maybe minus a bit because of fees. Then when I was doing precious metals, I was living in Asia at the time. So first in Hong Kong, and then in Thailand. And you can just there's gold shops, and I was buying gold, like physical gold, every couple of weeks when I got paid. And it's just a better way than holding cash, right? Because it's hard. Like, obviously you got cash there, it's easy to go and spend it. If you got gold, you're like, okay, I need to go down to Chinatown, into the gold shops, and then change it into money and stuff like that. So that taught me about precious metals. And then after that, I got into ETFs, exchange traded funds, because I was looking at, index trackers. They track the world, and they're kind of like, again, I didn't want to go deep down the rabbit hole of reading all the financial news all the time. So yeah, that was pretty much it. But of course, you can't ignore crypto, right? If you want to make money and you're looking through the internet and stuff, and you keep seeing crypto, and a lot of the time I was like, this looks scammy, and it looks like it's not going to work because there's people, flossing with Lambos and stuff like that. But you can only ignore it so long. So at some point, then it becomes Bitcoin, the gateway drug, then a bit of Ethereum, then some altcoins, and then from
how do you had mentioned, right, like scam, and then also like the example of using like say a pry bar or something to like open your mind, right? So how do you recognize those instances? Because even though I like to think like I'm open-minded and I'm constantly trying to learn, I'm also aware that there's probably those areas in my life now that I'm not aware of. And that's what I think of as my weakness, is those areas that I'm not aware of that are hindering my growth.
Blind
spots. Exactly. So how do you how do you recognize that, right? Because you obviously did it with crypto, right? And it's maybe just because it's like banging on your fucking door all the time. You're like crypto this and crypto this, and then somebody mentions it, and then you have to pay for something in it, and then you got to do this and you got to do this. So eventually, it just like works its way in. But how do you get to that point where you can start to see those things for yourself in terms of that's a bias I have right there that I can change or not change.
We've all got, listen, we've all got blind spots, man. One thing that taught me well is like kind of going back to like your kind of similar to your story, right? You had a bit of an alternative childhood. I had one too. I had to do martial arts since I was 3 years old. And I always wanted the truth, man, because I used to fight in competitions pretty much every couple of months. And it's scary to get up there and fight another man, and I was just scared of losing for my father, for my club, for my brother. We had a big martial arts club and I wanted to be the best. So I was obsessed with learning and I was always open to being wrong. Maybe this punch isn't the best. Maybe this kick isn't the best. And I was obsessed with martial arts. Like me and my brother were obsessed, so obsessed that our parents were like we were still in high school and we'd run like 3 miles every night, come back, do splits until we went to bed, like kickboxing in the living room and in the garden until it got dark in the summer. So, and I think that martial arts mindset, because you have to fight, right? It's not like, if you're doing something else, you can kind of close. When I say something else, somewhere where you're not being hit in the face, you can maybe close your mind off and be like, hey, I'm playing golf. This swing is the best swing. And even if it might not be, you might not know for years if you're not in competition. But if you're getting punched and kicked in the face regularly and you've got an ego, you'll want to know what the best technique is. So I was always willing to be wrong, right? And then I think I took that into other areas of my life where it was like, I'm wrong, it's fine because I can learn and then I can get more, I can get more knowledge and get further down the road. And I think that's probably what came from your independent schooling and mindset. But I think it came from martial arts for me, where I was always willing to learn more and willing to be wrong.
Well, because if you're going to get punched in the face, you're a quick learner there. You're like, oh, I was wrong there. I got clocked. Let me figure out how to defend better or attack when they're doing this move. So you went into crypto like 2 years, roughly ish. And
so crypto, about 2 years. And yourself, you've been in longer than me, or since 2013?
I have a business, so I like receive payments through crypto, and like I've heard about crypto, and just like you, it just keeps knocking on the door, whether it's friends talking about it kind of thing. And I followed Tesla. I used to trade Tesla options. Yeah. That's how I bought this duplex or whatever. But
nice.
It's awesome. It's a blessing that I was that lucky to be able to do that at that time.
It's crazy, man.
But now I see the same thing happening with what's happening with hacks or just crypto in general, right? Where so from 2008, 9, 10-ish, there was, up until 2018, there was so much FUD for Tesla. Like people weren't paying attention to it, and there was no sources of information. So I just got into decided to change into crypto 60 days ago. So I was paying attention to Tesla. I have plenty of Tesla videos. My first Tesla stuff, I wrote a paper for Seeking Alpha back in maybe 2012 or 2013. And I paid attention to that. I didn't put money into Tesla until 2017 or 18. I don't have any freaking idea why I didn't do that. And I told myself that I would, next time I'm going to decide to change direction, that I was going to put money in immediately. Because if I had started putting money into Tesla when I started paying attention, oh my goodness, they were worth zero, right? Now they're $900 to $1 trillion. This is crazy, right? And I could have, whatever. So I told her that I was going to do that. And about 18 months ago, I let my girlfriend know that we were having dinner, and I just told her, hey, the next thing I'm going to focus on is crypto. And I didn't know how I was going to transition or anything like that, or what I was going to do. And then GRC, Jim Rat Crypto, who was the guy I'm doing the live stream with, he had reached out to me I reached out to him because I saw him posting stuff. And I thought hacks was the same thing as HNT, literally the ignorance of that, right? HNT is the
helium.
Yeah, helium, right? And then hex. And I saw him posting about it, and they both started with an H. So I sent him a message because we hadn't connected in a while. I was like, hey, you're in hex. And I thought Hex was HNT. And so it started the conversation, and he was like, hey, go check out this dude's videos. And so 60 days ago, there was when he told me about it. About 2 weeks later, I started putting money into, Hex, and actually was able to get into Liquid Loans, Sacrifice, and PulseX. And I'm like, wow, this is the point. And I just changed. No more paying attention to Tesla, because I saw what was happening with this, even though it's so early. Like, I don't have the context you built up from being in it longer than I have, or the awesome people that I've connected with or talked with. They've been able to see things that I haven't been able to see. But I've been able to see this cycle where there's FUD and there's all this like negativity out there. And at some point there's a tsunami of like good stuff that's coming along with it. And you can think of that tsunami as in like what Richard Hart's working on, or you can think of that tsunami as generally crypto, however you want to think about it. But like, there's a tsunami that is gargantuan, and it's just going to eat up everything. And I was like, there's no way I'm not predicting in this as quickly as possible. So I started now making videos on it regularly, and just diving in, talking to more people. And I'm thankful that I was able to like at least choose that point, or like have the opportunity to find the stuff related to Richard Hart first, because that's why we're talking here. And the people that I've been able to connect with seem to be very intelligent. They want to like help. They want to like achieve more and grow and learn. And it's been a beautiful thing so far. How did you get into Hex and stuff like that? And then how did you get into Liquid Loans?
Yeah, sure. We'll touch on that. Just want to go back to something you said. So basically what you're saying is what you're seeing now with like Hex, Pulse, PulseX, Liquid Loans, this whole stuff, this is mirroring what you saw in the early days of Tesla. Is that what you're saying?
And so there's a point, right? So back here, and I'm like, you can't tell, but I have goosebumps, because this is literally, I tell my girlfriend about this is literally what's happening right now, and you're just watching the same thing play out. I got into Tesla. There's no information around Tesla, what was going on with Tesla. Like, I had to find little bits and pieces of information. Remember, this is 2010. The internet was not what it is today at all, right? And trying to get the information was like, nobody was talking about it. There was hard to find pieces of information.
Yeah.
And as the years rolled on, sources of information would build about putting out content and seeking different pieces of stuff to put it together, right?
Yeah.
And then that continued to grow, and then you have this conglomerate of a massive number of, we'll call them content creators, but it might be blogs, it might be like YouTube channels, it might be Instagram, it might be people on Twitter who are all putting out content around Tesla and eating away like the FUD. So CNN comes out with some garbage, right? And their comment section is just completely destroyed, right?
Yeah.
They're talking FUD about Tesla in some way, right? And it's just completely destroyed, or commentary on like one of the TV shows. And so I saw this tsunami of like grassroots people who are building this behind it, right? And I see this same thing where it's just since I've been paying attention to crypto, new channels have been starting. And I'm like, wow, this is the same thing that was happening. Like, I'm watching new channels spring up like this. Like, people are like, I need to get this information out to the world. I need to impact more people. I need to tell people that Tesla is going to destroy these other OEMs. They're going to change from dumb vehicles to smart vehicles. They're going to change from like EVs to ICE engine, or or vice versa, right? And you see these things happening, and you see people that are excited enough to talk about it, to take the time and the effort to create a Twitter, to start talking about it, to create a YouTube channel, to create a blog, start talking about it in Facebook groups. And these things require effort. And I see the same exact thing, except for I didn't get into this game early enough, crypto, to catch it way back here where there's no sources of information, where maybe somewhere in this period of time where there's new players coming into the game and they're providing a POV that is unique to the marketplace and catching people's attention and educating people about the truth of what's actually going on. And I was like, oh, this is a beautiful time for me to change directions.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, wow, I can see the writing on the wall, whether it's the next 6 months or 18 months or 36 months. It doesn't matter. It's just, there's no way to stop what is about to happen.
Yeah.
There's just no way to stop it. There's so many voices and so much energy, right? What grows is what we invest our time and our money into.
Yeah.
And
100%.
Right. And you have this large group of people globally that are pushing with their energy. And then you have those same people pushing with their money. It doesn't matter what's going to happen. There's so much energy pushing in one direction. And I see this happening because I watch the same thing. And then you see I have some stock in Tesla, and I'm watching this every week. It's going up. It's going up. This is like late 2018 throughout 2019 and into I think early 2020. It's just like going up. It's going up, and it's going up, and it's going up. Except for maybe I saw a 5 or 6x return, right? Where in crypto, remember I've only been here for 60 days, and I just hear stories from other people who've been in it longer than me. You can get 10x, 100x. 10,000, or what Richard says, 10,000x, right? So I'm like, oh my goodness, this tsunami is going to literally be gigantic. And I'm excited. Like, clearly, I'm excited about this. This is like,
man, it's really interesting to hear that, because I've heard a lot of people obviously tell their story, but no one's told it from that perspective where they've seen something similar and they know it's about to pop. And so you got into the last 60 days. So you didn't sacrifice for PulseChain or anything. Just
no,
PulseX.
I miss him. Yeah. Like literally 60 days ago, I was paying attention to the stats line.
Okay.
And I'm like, had that conversation, and I told my girlfriend, I was like, hey, found it. I'm deciding to change directions. Boom. Done. Stop paying attention. I'm only going to pay attention to crypto. So and I was just like, I need to learn. I need to catch up to where Matt's at. I need to get context to understand what's going on. I need to talk to more people, build more relationships, you know?
Man, you're doing the right thing. Like, you're on stream, you're speaking to Jesse, you're speaking to all these people, asking questions. It's like, that's how you get there. You ask questions, and you're, you know, a lot of people they'll watch a couple of streams. And again, I find a lot of people anywhere, even if they're more open-minded in the fact they'll get into crypto, they still fall into the group think where they just get the basics and then that's it. But the fact that you're just, you know, you're like a sponge trying to soak it all up is going to pay dividends. So what do you think about PulseChain? Do you think it's around the corner? Because we keep hearing very soon.
So it has only been 60 days, but in that 60 days, it seems like, so I got in probably right after, a week or two after Richard had done a live stream, and then he didn't do anything for like 3 or 4 weeks of me getting on there, and my buddy's like, oh, he live streams all the time. And I was like, okay, live streaming all the time, like once every 3 weeks, that doesn't seem like often. And then as I'm continuing to talk to people and continuing to learn, I'm seeing that, like, okay, just over this last, like, say 10 days or so, right? Richard Hart's going live. He was in a Twitter Spaces. He's going live on other people's channels. And from the perspective of, like, if you're doing a project and you're balls deep into the project, at what point do you start to go build excitement and more awareness? When you're getting closer to finishing is how I think about it. And when you listen, and he's like, the only thing that's left is sacrifice balances, and then there's an issue with a node. I mean, I don't know enough about the tech to know, but I would think that figuring out the semantics of the sacrifice balances, depending on the exchange and the coin and the liquidity of it, like how those things seems relatively trivial. Not that that's not a big problem, but relatively trivial to, like, creating a brand new blockchain and copying everything over and improving it. Like, that just seems like a far bigger problem than the sacrifice balances. I don't know about the next month, but I'm very bullish that it will be way before the end of the summer, personally. But remember, I don't have a lot of context. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think, because you've had way more experience, I mean, where do you honestly think things are at?
I mean, it sounds close. Like, from the last stream, he said all that needs to be kind of refined are the sacrifice balances, because a lot of people have sacrificed kind of crappy illiquid coins, and he doesn't want to completely, not honor their sacrifice. So if he can, give them something, I think that's proving to be quite tough. But I'm not sure if you've played with the testnet, but it's running well. PulseX is running nice. You've got the staking pools there, the farming, the liquidity providing. It seems very close, but then again, we've heard 4 more weeks or 8 more weeks for a long time now. So every time it seems close, it kind of isn't. So I don't know. I'm hoping, I'm thinking May-ish, like, yeah. But again, we've been here for a year now, really waiting. So obviously we have all these, and in some ways it's been good because a lot of projects, including liquid loans, have come up and have built on stuff. But obviously we need PulseChain here before anything can, really show what it can do. So I think May, but obviously we'll find out.
What are your thoughts on, right? Because like clearly I put money into PulseX, which means that immediately that creates a bias that like I'm going to view PulseX in a way that I'm not going to view PulseChain. So did you get into both of them?
Yes.
Okay. So given that you got into both of them, you don't need to be specific, but like, was it just like, $100 in one and like, 60 grand in another, where there's like a disproportionate amount of like effort into one versus the other one? Or is it like relatively like where you can kind of try to look at it objectively? Because I want to hear your thoughts about the two of those, because I have, I think PulseX could be very like, if you run the numbers on like PulseX and their buy and burn, that creates automatic like selling for Pulse. And yes, it might be a relatively small amount, but think about if you have, and this is why I'm looking at it because I'm biased, right? I put money into PulseX, so like maybe somebody else who doesn't have that bias or who has a different POV is like, well, Sam, that's probably wrong, right? Or whatever. Like, so I'm open to. Did I lose you guys, or can you still hear me, Matt? Can you still hear me? Hey, Matt.
Hey guys, so sorry, my laptop just crashed. So Sam, if you're watching, please come back on. My laptop literally just froze. I'm not sure what happened there. So technical issues, guys. So sorry about that. Sam's back. Hey man, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I'm not
sorry.
sure.
My laptop literally just, I don't know, just froze. And I thought it might, I'm not sure if it overheated or, sorry about that. Sorry.
You're good. Hey, you're good. You're good. We were having some technical difficulties before we got on, so I thought it was my internet, but I'm glad it wasn't my internet.
Okay. Yeah, it was weird. Before we got on, yours was stalling and then mine went down. So Apologies, everyone. But sorry, man. You were saying.
So with if you compare PulseChain and PulseX, before I tell you like the thoughts on it, because I don't want to create a bias in your mind just by giving you that information around it. What are your thoughts? Like in terms of the tokenomics, or like on the two of those, are you more bullish on one or the other? You think, like, obviously, I personally think they're both going to be very, very successful. I lean in one direction, but I want to hear what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, they're both super interesting, because if you look historically, layer ones normally do very well, right? So like blockchains like Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, Polygon, and dexes like Uniswap or PancakeSwap don't do as well. That being said, there hasn't been a dex like PulseX with the buy and burn, with that, you know, just I think is it K4K has done a few videos on this, where you just have like, if we have the same amount of volume that Uniswap does, then we've got something like $700,000 just buying up and burning PulseX. So it's hard to make a call, man. Like, I've probably got equal amounts of both, and I don't care whichever one does well. You know, it's a good problem to have. Oh no, my Pulse is doing really well, my PulseX is doing so-so, or vice versa. So I'm not biased to either, and I don't know. Historically looking, layer ones normally do well. So if we look back at history, we'd say Pulse is going to kill PulseX. But then if we look at the tokenomics and the buy and burn function with PulseX, then, you know, who knows?
What do you go ahead?
No, sorry, I was saying maybe it could be the first time that a DEX kind of outperforms a layer one.
That's interesting. Thank you for giving me the context on that, because that's how I would think about it too. And I could be completely wrong on this, but I want to hear your thoughts on it. So when I'm looking at the numbers on PulseX, and you have like 22% of the 0.29% fee that goes to buy and burn, right? So if you think about what is that buying and burning, well, then you got to understand what liquidity pair is, right? So you're like, okay, we're going to put this together with this, and then the fees the LPs are going to earn, the liquidity providers are going to be in these two things, right? So if this is Hex and Pulse, right, then they're going to earn fees of Hex and Pulse through that transactions on there. So if you earn fees in Hex and Pulse, and there's probably going to be more pairs of Pulse with other things than there's going to be PulseX with other things, right? That seems like a logical, could be wrong, but it seems like a logical assumption. Then the fees in Pulse, 0.21% of those has to be sold to buy PulseX.
Yeah.
So that means there's going to be selling pressure regularly on Pulse, and there's going to be buying pressure on PulseX. And I don't, like, I see this and I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm just seeing this because I only sacrificed for PulseX. But when you look at the numbers too, and you're like, okay, it's going to be a fraction of a penny per transaction on Pulse. So what that means is, well, you're going to have liquid loans. So that means there's going to be a network fee for everything that happens, at least from my understanding. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Anything, if somebody interacts with a smart contract to put it into the smart contract, the vault, then that's going to cause like a fee in terms of Pulse, right? Like to do the transaction, like there would be an ETH fee. Is that accurate?
There'll be a gas fee, yes, but then there's a gas fee to transact to do anything on the network, right? So whether you're sending from wallet to wallet, there's going to be a Pulse gas fee. That's different to the fee that you're going to have taken out of your loan, right?
Yeah, yes, the $200, that one.
Yes, so you're going to have a between a 0.5% to a 5% fee, depending on the health of the system at the time when you open a vault, and that's going to go to the staking pool. There'll be a gas fee as well, but that'll be fractions of a penny or a couple of pennies.
So do you think, given, because I do want to talk about some of the, if you have time, some of the more nuanced, just to iron them out for myself, of the liquid loans thing. But so you have these transaction fees that also the difference is that the fee for Pulse transactions, because there's going to be Pulse transactions that are not on the DEX, right? So you're going to have liquid loans that's going to generate fees for Pulse, right? You're going to have any other projects on top of Pulse that are also going to generate fees for Pulse. And then 25% of those fees are going to be burned, right? But when you look at the fee size, you have a fraction of a penny piece fee size for Pulse, but you here have a percentage over here. So you have a absolute dollar amount here, and you have a percentage of the volume transacted here in PulseX. So the differential is that there's a larger amount of PulseX that's created to generate fees than there would be in Pulse, in my mind. And I want to know what you think about that. Like, you know what I mean? Am I thinking of that? Or like, hey, you didn't think about this, or hey, that's not actually how this works. What are your thoughts on that?
Every time someone uses the network, there's going to be a gas fee. That's number one. Going back to the liquid loans protocol, the fees in the protocol are nothing to do with the Pulse gas fees. They're to do with using liquid loans. So every time somebody opens a vault, there's going to be, like I said, that small fee to open a vault and to close a vault, or to redeem Pulse for, to redeem USDL for Pulse. And that goes to the loan stakers. But any transaction on the network is going to have Pulse. It's going to be Pulse. Just like on Ethereum, you do anything. You send between two wallets, you swap a coin on Uniswap, you start a hex stake, you end a hex stake, there's a gas fee to be paid for that. All the fees on the system for Pulse, 25% of those fees are going to be burned as well. So I'm sure you know this. Both Pulse and PulseX are deflationary because there's never going to be any more minted. Even though they're going to start at a very high supply, there's never going to be any more. So I just wanted to separate those two.
Please, thank you.
The liquid loans fees are different from the Pulse gas fees. There'll always be anything. There'll always be a gas fee to do anything. Open a vault, stake your tokens, claim your stakes. The difference is because PulseChain is a proof of stake network. It's going to be very, very cheap, I'm sure, as you know.
Do you think that so say if you have a 0.29% on PulseX on a billion dollars worth of transactions, that comes out to be some number, right? Say it was $100,000. It's far higher than that, but whatever that number was, just for easy math purposes, $100,000. That $100,000, you're going to pull off, say, $22,000 of that amount, right? So that's the $1 billion creates this, versus over here in Pulse, it's going to be a fraction of a penny. So say if it's a tenth of a penny per transaction, but there's going to be traction. And this is obviously, there's a distinction, as you just mentioned, between liquid loans and the fee on Pulse. Like the mainnet fees are going to be generating in the background, but in order to get to the size of the fee that's going to be over here, like in terms of like this giant portion of the fee is going to be bought and burned perpetually, right, on a regular basis. Versus if for this on Pulse side to get to the same size as that, it just seems like it wouldn't get there, or it would take longer to get there. But remember, this is coming from somebody who's brand new to this, so I don't.
I know what you mean. Like obviously, PulseX does seem a lot more bullish because you actually have buying and taking it off the market, where Pulse you just have burning, right? So 25% of all fees are burned, right? But obviously there's a high supply, so that's going to take a long time to wither down. Where PulseX, it's being bought and then sent to a burn address. So you actually it's like someone who's actually going every day and buying $700,000, if that's the amount. I'm not sure it is, but let's say if $1 billion worth of volume goes through PulseX, I think I've heard this number float around. You have $700,000 a day of just right.
That seems massive.
It's like a whale every day spending 700,000. So in theory, that sounds insane, right? And obviously. But then again, who knows how it's going to play, because so many people missed Pulse. They got into PulseX. There's also that narrative going around that a lot of people are going to be swapping their PulseX to get into Pulse, because again, a lot of people believe in layer ones because of obviously what they've done in the past. So I think, if you've got both of them, just you're sitting pretty. What's going to be your goal? Do you want to pick up some Pulse on a dip in the beginning?
I want to pick up a lot of things. Like I think that with the loan token with liquid loans is going to be interesting. I want to get I want to get more hacks. I want to get more PulseX. I want to get more. I don't have any Pulse, right? So I want to get some Pulse. I would like to get some of the loan tokens. But I think the loan tokens. Jesse didn't mention this, and then after our conversation, I was like, wait, that could be an arbitrage opportunity. When you think about the loan token for liquid loans, and please inform me or correct me if I say something incorrect. there's a certain minting of those per year that is tied to something that decreases over time. Out of the so you take your USDL, right, and you also get your loan token. Now you can take your loan token, you can sell that, or you can stake it, right? Yes. So when you decide to put your USDL into there to do that,
stability pool, yeah,
into the stability pool, you get a certain amount of the loan token, right?
That's right.
And that ratio at which you get it goes down over time.
Halves every year. So when the Liquid Loans protocol goes live, all the loan tokens that are going to exist are going to be minted at that time. So there'll be no more loan tokens minted, and a portion of those loan tokens get paid to the stability pool providers. So if you put USDL in the Liquid Loan stability pool, you're going to be paid depending on your size in the pool, you're going to be paid loan tokens. It's an incentive token to provide stability. Every year that gets halved, right? So
say if it's $1 trillion in aggregate, and then there's 500 billion that get minted, or whatever, a billion of it, or 100 billion that get minted in year one. So in year two, then that would be 500 billion. Say if there was 500 billion, then it would be 250 billion the next year. Am I understanding that correctly?
No. So everything's minted on day one. Nothing will ever, there'll never be a loan token minted after day one. But I think what you're confusing here is how much incentive gets paid to the stability pool. So in year one, they get a certain amount. Year two, 50%, that gets halved the amount. Year three, again, halved again. So it's halved every year. And obviously that's to incentivize people to get into the stability pool early and obviously, collect the biggest rewards possible. They get paid that loan token. They can take that loan token, go and stick it in the loan staking pool, and then earn all the fees in the system. So basically, day one, all the tokens are minted, but the amount that gets paid to the stability providers will be halved every year. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay. So in that nuance is where I saw this. So say you put in 100,000 USDL to the stability pool, and you get your loan token, right?
Yeah.
So now you're earning in the stability pool, but you also have this loan token to stake or to sell.
Yeah.
Now your 100,000 USDL, say you get 10,000 tokens, or whatever that number comes out to be.
Yeah.
Now in year two, that'll be 100,000, but it'll be 5,000, right?
Yeah.
Because it's going down by 50%. So now, because the ratio is going down, is that going to happen on a quarterly basis, on a daily basis, or how is it's a specific date? This date it drops to 50%. How are you guys structuring that? Because go ahead.
No, so carry on.
Well, because if not, there could be opportunity to gain that in this, and at least how I'm thinking about it. And correct me. So say December 31st, I know that stuff is going to be, I'm putting in 100,000, I get 10,000 out in terms of tokens, right? So, but on January 1st, I get 5,000 out of it, which is going to dictate the value of the loan token in secondary markets for liquidity to some degree if people are selling. Because otherwise I could just, if I had it all written out on a paper in a spreadsheet to run the numbers on it, but if you have if you're going to get 10,000 printed versus say you're going to get 10,000 printed, but you can go to the secondary market and you could buy 10,000 for less than the 100,000 that you would have, then that's going to dictate the price. Does that? So say in the first year, besides trying to gain it, if you put in 100,000, you get 10,000 loan tokens. If in the secondary market, loan tokens are selling for 8,000. Say 10,000 tokens are selling for $85,000 instead of 100, you go buy those in that market and you just make $15,000. Similar to the structure of USDL, how you algorithmically stabilize that, right? Like if it goes too high, people are selling that and then bringing it back in. You know what I mean? If it goes too low, it's going the other direction.
With the, you can't arbitrage it because it's just about getting whoever's early gets the lion's share of the loan tokens, right? So year one, 100%, year two, 50%, year three, 25%, year four, 12.5%, and on and on and on. Just like the Bitcoin halving, right? Every 4 years, the Bitcoin is the halving with the miners. So I don't know how you could arbitrage that. I'm just not sure.
Well, okay, so say so if I'm like, okay, cool, I got 100 grand. I can put this into the stability pool with my I can take my USDL, put this into the stability pool, and I get 10,000 tokens, right?
Yeah.
Or I can take this USDL and buy. We'd have to make the assumption that there is a secondary market. So if there's a secondary market for the loan token, and that is able to absorb $100,000. So if that's the case, and I can go take my 100 grand, and I can buy $12,000 of the tokens. Does that make sense? Then I could take those back, and there's a different ratio. If I put it into the protocol, I get 10,000. If I go to the secondary market with my 100,000, I get 12,000 tokens. So there's an opportunity there somewhere, because there's differentials in those two pools.
So if you went to say PulseX to buy loan token, is that what you mean?
Yep. And you can take 100,000 USDL or stable or Pulse or PulseX, right? And you're like, okay, if I put this into the stability pool, I get 10,000 printed right now. If I take this and I buy the loan token, and I can buy $12,000 worth for the same price, right? Then there's an opportunity there.
It depends on what price the loan token's trading at, and a token that isn't a trading token as such, normally it'll be trading quite high, right? A loan token is like a T-share, right? You stick it in the loan staking pool, and then it prints you money pretty much, because anyone who uses the system, you're getting the fees. Anyone who opens a vault, they pay a fee. Anyone who redeems Pulse for USDL, they pay a fee. So basically you get fees. You basically become part of the bank, right? You're part of the central bank collecting the fees. So again, this is all speculation, but why would you be trading that token if you can just print yourself money all the time?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, like, I don't think you or I would probably do that, right? But there's if there's the level of success that we think, or like I think a lot of people think, right, that is going to happen, or like around the whole system, then there's bound to be people who do stupid shit, right? So there's bound to be people, right?
There'll always be people that sell the token for sure. But then it depends on how much the token's going for, right? Because you might not get it. You might not get. You said that if I kept a certain amount of money there, I'll get 10,000, and if I took my money outside, I might get 12.5. But it depends, right?
No, correct, 100%. But it could like, is that the thing? Because it could like play that in reverse. So then say you could take $100,000 and you could buy 8,000 tokens on PulseX, versus taking your 100,000 and putting it into the stability pool, right? So like it could go either direction, but I feel like that's going to almost peg that in a certain way. I don't fully understand how that could work, but because there's that opportunity to go one way or the other way, but then that also doesn't take into consideration if you use your USDL in the stability pool, you still have your USDL. Right, and you're earning on your USDL. It doesn't take that into consideration. So I don't know. What I was thinking about, and I would like to talk to somebody who knows more about it. So it's interesting.
Crypto Crazy has a good thing here. There's only 3 ways to get the loan token. You sacrifice for it, you provide stability in the stability pool, or you buy it on the open market. So there's only 3 ways to get it.
Is anybody saying anything about what I was saying, or like they're like, oh, Sam's a fucking whack job?
You can't provide by parking USDL. You don't sell 10K. Hang on, I'm just looking at some comments here.
Yep.
Crypto Crazy says if you provide stability by parking your USDL, you don't sell it. 10K from stability means you keep both USDL and loan. Buying 12K means you don't have USDL. Right? So do you understand? You're keeping your USDL parked and you're being rewarded loan token. If you went out to the market and brought it, you're swapping your loan. So you no longer have any more USDL, and then you have you have loan token.
Does the loan token kind of like work as like a code check in a way where it's, because it's kind of like an incentive token? Where if I bring my jacket to someplace to like check it, then I get like a 1, 2, 3 little piece of paper, and I bring that 1, 2, 3 little piece of paper back, and then they give me my coat back. Is that how like the loan token would work for if I wanted to take my USDL out of the stability pool?
Nothing to do with that. You can take your USDL out of the stability pool anytime you want. stability, obviously any protocol like this needs stability providers, right? So you need an incentive. Why are people going to provide stability in any case? Why are you going to become a liquidity provider on PulseX or on Uniswap? You need to be incentivized. Loan token is the incentive token, but it's not just a token like just some duct tape on token. It has utility, because when you stake that in the staking pool, then anyone who uses the liquid loan system, either opening a new vault or redeeming their Pulse for USDL, they have to pay a fee, and all of those fees get paid to the loan stakers. So it has nothing to do with, you don't have to bring you don't have to show that you have loan token to withdraw your USDL.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay,
you just
good.
get paid. You just get paid loan token to become a stability provider. Then you can do whatever you want with that loan token. You can sell it, you can stake it, you can, up to you what you want to do with it. But
can we run through, like, and I'm sure everybody in the chat has seen this before and 100 times, and they might think this is old, but can you run through just from the very beginning, right? So you take your Pulse, you put that into the vault, and you've got 100 grand, right? And you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to take out 10,000, and so you get your USDL. So to do that, to fully understand, you're paying a Pulse mainnet fraction of a penny. You're paying $200 as kind of like a deposit.
$200 right? is what you'll get back if you pay back your loan. That's just for the gas fee. For if later on, if somebody has to manually liquidate your vault, that gets paid back, because obviously over time the network might become expensive, right? So the $200 is kind of like a withholding in case gas fees get very expensive in the future. You get liquidated. The person who liquidates your vault gets that $200, and then part of it goes to pay the gas fee. So there's that.
Okay. So question on that. So what if Pulse fees get to say $350, or is that programmed in there where that $200 could go up?
That would be a long time. That would be a very long time in the future. We're going to be at fractions of a penny. So I think we cross that bridge when we come to it. That $200 is withholding just in case in the future gas fees go up to a long time. And whoever presses the liquidation button gets that $200. The other fee is the 0.5 to 5%, depending on the health of the system. That gets paid to the loan stakers.
Okay, so let me, because I've gone through this, but I always get the stability pool where so then I take the 10,000 and I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this into the stability pool.
Yeah.
And they're going to earn Pulse. Is that right? They're going to earn Pulse and they're
going to earn Pulse from any liquidated vaults that gets spread among the stability pool. And then they also get paid loan token. Okay,
so they're going to get like that 10% in the stability pool if something gets liquidated.
Yes, they're going to buy Pulse on a 10% discount.
Okay. Oh yes. Okay. Perfect. Gotcha. And then the loan token staking, they're going to earn the fee at the beginning where you pay.
They're going to earn the fees, and so anyone who uses the system, there's a fee to pay. So they're going to earn fees for people opening new vaults or redeeming their Pulse for USDL.
Redeeming their Pulse for USDL. Where does that happen? The redemption happen again at the
anyone can come back to the system anytime they want with USDL and redeem that for a dollar's worth of Pulse. But that's probably not a wise thing, because you probably do that cheaper on a DEX like PulseX. But anyone can bring in USDL back to the system, and then it gives them, they can redeem that for however much dollars worth of Pulse, right? So if they've got $100 worth of USDL, they get $100 worth of Pulse, because the system's always over collateralized like that.
And so the fee that is paid, so you have the beginning fee of to do a loan. Is that fee paid in USDL, or is that fee paid in Pulse? When I go to say take out $10,000 of that example, right? I have 100,000 Pulse dollars worth of Pulse, and I put that into the system, and then I take out $10,000 worth of USDL. I paid my mainnet fraction of a penny. I paid the $200, and then there is a fee that goes into the system. Is the fee that goes into the system Pulse in terms of Pulse, or is it in terms of USDL?
Gets taken right off your loan, straight out of your loan.
It's a share. Okay, cool. Now, in the redemption, is that in Pulse or is that in USDL?
So anyone can bring USDL into the system, and then they can redeem that for Pulse.
And there's a again a 0.5 to 5 depending on the health of the system.
Depending on the health of the system, yeah.
Obviously, and go ahead.
The system is set up to incentivize and de-incentivize certain behavior depending on what's going on with the system.
And is that fee when somebody redeems, is that paid in USDL? So I've got like 100,000 USDL. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna get some Pulse out of this system. So I put that into the system, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pay 1%. That 1%, am I paying that in terms of the USDL I put in, or am I paying that in terms of the Pulse that I get out? Like how is that like the denominated in terms of the fee?
Sorry. So you don't choose how much percentage you pay for the fee. The system.
No, yeah, just hypothetically at that moment, I just used 1% because it was easy math. But say if it was 0.5, whatever the health was at the time.
So when you open a new vault, are you talking about?
No, the redemption portion of it.
The redemption will be paid in USDL. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, so both fees are going to be paid in USDL.
Sorry. First fee is paid in USDL. Second fee is paid in Pulse. So when you open a vault, you pay in USDL. When you redeem, you pay in Pulse.
Oh, interesting. Thank you.
And then and the USDL goes to the fee in USDL goes to the staking pool, and the fee in Pulse goes to the staking pool. So stakers win all the time. They get paid all the fees in the system.
Oh, super interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
I always got that confused.
Yeah, man.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, actually Crypto Crazy just said there's a 4-minute explainer video which does it really well, which we made up. So I'll have to forward it to you. And it's.
I think I probably watched Crypto Crazy. Thank you. I think I probably watched it 4 times, and like it's clearly not there yet because I'm asking that.
No, man. Listen, dude, we're over an hour, and we normally wrap up around the hour. So listen, where can people find out more about you?
If anybody wants to touch base or follow anything that I do, I talk about crypto related stuff on the YouTube channel. If you just put in, I think it's actually Stolt Fitness when I used to talk more about fitness stuff on YouTube, or if you jump over to Twitter, it should just be Sam_Stolt over there on Twitter. I'm pretty active on Twitter, or on Instagram if you like fitness related stuff. It's just Sam.Stolt, and I talk about a lot of fitness related stuff and post a lot of the food related stuff that I'm eating throughout the day.
Nice, man. We didn't even get into the fitness stuff, but next time you have to come on and talk about fitness. You're in tremendous shape, and I want to hear about your routine. So next time you come on, let's talk more about the old the wealth and the health side of things. Yes, sir. I saw you working out in your garage. Thank you. I want to acknowledge you for taking the time to come on, bring me on, and just sharing the information with me. I had a blast. Thank you for taking the time to let me come on here and share my story. Awesome, buddy. Well, let's stay in touch. And like I said, you have to come back on the stream again. Yes. Yeah. Talk to you soon. Bye, guys. Take care. Guys, go and follow Sam for sure. He's got some great info on, crypto investing, asked a lot of great questions, and also he's in really good shape. So we can all, get some inspiration to get in the gym. If you like videos and interviews like this, do hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you're notified every time we drop new videos and new content on the channel. You can also tap the like button, share the video with someone who you think it may benefit. And if you're watching the playback, you can also drop a cheeky comment below. It does help us out. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.